Welcome to a Tuesday edition of the Investor Guys podcast. I am Kevin Mills, and this gentleman here poking at the camera is
right.
Bill Barnett. How you doing, buddy?
Yep.
What do you want to talk about today? We had come up with some topics last week that we wanted to go over. And I think we need to focus. This is something we had a conversation we had on, is focus on reminding people that money is key, and you don't have to have your own money. Bill and I preach OPM all the time, and you not opium, but OPM. And you hear
that's a whole different broadcast,
a whole nother type of incentive. You hear other people say that you can do this without any money, and you really can do this without any money of your own. Okay. So when you hear people say you can do this without any money, no, you can't do this without any money, but you can do this without any money of your own. And there are ways to do that to where you can find that money. Those are multiple different types of shows, and we'll try to get those in as we can. But today we're going to talk about one strategy that really is, if you find the right company to work with and you find the right types of properties, really is something that you can do easily with no money down. And that is an 80% of ARV deal where they will finance 80% of ARV. Now, before we get into that, let's talk about ARV and how that stacks up to market value and how we find all of that. And Bill, I'll turn that over to you.
Okay. So ARV, which is the acronym for after repaired value, a lot of people miss this. When they go through, they'll take a course, they'll read a book, and it'll say, hey, I take X percent off of the pricing when I'm figuring what I'm going to offer. And then they go try to do that, and they come back and they go, wow, that really sucks. That doesn't work, and blah, blah, blah. And what they're missing is, and maybe it's from the person that was trying to explain it to them, and maybe it's just they missed it on their end. I have a friend, a client out in Las Vegas that has been with me for several years. And early on in our relationship as a client, he came to me and he said, I did exactly what you said. I put 150 offers out and I didn't get any of them accepted. This doesn't work. And I said, okay, well, first of all, under no circumstances should you ever put 150 offers out, because if you're doing 150 offers, you have done them incorrectly. Because you cannot do a blanket multiplication or division or subtraction. You can't just apply a formula to a number and come up and be able to do that. And speakers say that kind of crap, and that's pure 100% crap all the time. And what you have to do is, can you apply the formula? Absolutely. But you can't apply the formula to the asking price. You apply the formula to the after repaired value. Now, the after repaired value is not the condition the property is in now. It's what is the top dollar that I could get for this property in pristine condition. When it is absolutely drop dead gorgeous, what's it going to sell for? That's the after repaired value. And so many people miss that little bitty step, and it throws all of their numbers completely off. So how do we establish the after repaired value? Well, we have to start with comps. And I know every one of my clients, and I have over 100, every one of my, and that's currently, every one of my consulting clients at one time or another have used the word Zillow to me. Zillow is crap. Now, you may be in a particular part of the country where the Zillow numbers work. They are not nationwide. They don't work nationwide. So if you're in that part of the country, then terrific for you. They don't work here. We look at them all the time and use them as examples of why you can't use it. So where do you get real numbers from? Still, the main place that you get real numbers from is the MLS. How you find that out is you look at who is it that establishes value. It's appraisers that establish value. When you're talking about a loan, whether it be from a mortgage company, a hard money lender, whatever, there's likely to be an appraisal involved. Those are the people that establish, here's what this property is worth, or in our case, after repaired value, that's referred to as a contingency appraisal, contingent upon you doing all of the things that you said you're going to do to it. It'll be worth this. And you can get a contingency appraisal all day long. And what they do, what appraisers do, is they use the MLS. So they will look at the solds in a market area, in a subdivision. So they'll start with a subdivision first. And if they can get 3 good solid comps, which comps are a comparable sale, if they can get 3 good solid comps, then they're good to go. If they've got 5, terrific. Once they get over 5 or 6, it's meaningless typically. But if they got 3 good ones, it's fine. Now, if there's only 1, maybe there's only 2, they may do what's referred to as a radius comp, where they'll go 1/10 of a mile or 1/4 of a mile in a radius on the map around the property that we're talking about. Now, the problem with radius comps is you cross subdivisions, and right before COVID hit, I was looking at a property very close to where I live, and the people that were selling it said that it was worth about $750. And I went, sorry, put the crack pipe down. I don't know where you're getting your number. Well, our agent told us that. I'm like, well, then you have an agent that doesn't have a clue. And look, there's a lot of them out there. I said, they're probably new. And so they don't understand how to pull comps, and their broker hasn't taught them that yet, because those numbers are wrong. Well, here's the comps they used. And the agent had given the comps to the prospective seller. And I said, great. And I looked at the comps, and they had done a radius comp, and they had done a 1/4 of a mile, very short. And the difference was it crossed out of their subdivision to the next subdivision next door. The key there is the subdivision next door was gated with 24/7 security, with patrolling security, and on a golf course. They were just in a subdivision. And I pointed out to them, you can't compare yourself. And in my case, this was Mira Vista and Hawthorne Park. I said, Hawthorne Park cannot be compared to Mira Vista, because Mira Vista is a private community with a golf course, blah, blah, with all these other amenities. And although Hawthorne Park is a nice subdivision, it's just a subdivision. So you can't include those, even though it's in the radius, and you start trying to adjust to be able to include those, and it just gets too weird. All right, so we're way over. We'll get more of after repaired value and how to apply that, and how it is the key to all of your numbers on your start as soon as we come back from break.
And how to get more information on how to find your ARV. We'll be back in just.
A lot of real estate training programs claim that they will make you a millionaire, but how many of them will guarantee it? The Millionaire Blueprint comes with a millionaire guarantee. I guarantee that if you use the strategies and you use the formulas that you learn in the Millionaire Blueprint, you will be a millionaire. I guarantee that, with a double your money back guarantee. Whether you have hundreds of thousands of dollars to invest or absolutely nothing, it doesn't matter. I'm going to show you how to start investing and be a millionaire guaranteed. Now, I can't tell you all about it in this short amount of time, so go to the guaranteedmillionaireblueprint.com. That's the guaranteedmillionaireblueprint.com. Watch the videos there. Read about the guarantee. Read more about what we offer with the Millionaire Blueprint. Get signed up. I'll see you in Palm Beach.
11 months out of the year, Bill and I host real estate buyers events in cities like Cleveland, Ohio, where we ourselves invest and see great returns. We show investors the types of strategies we're using, the types of properties we're using. We introduce them to people here on the ground and the resources that they can use to get started right away. Day 4 of this event, we're actually touring properties and making offers on properties. This event was designed to put properties in your portfolio right away, high-performing properties. Read more about the Real Estate Buyers event. Get registered. We'll see you at the next event, realestatebuyersevent.com. And we are back with our second segment here on 80% loan to ARV. So we were establishing what ARV is. And if you're working with a real estate agent can pull what's called a CMA, or comparative market analysis. Sorry, I would say evaluation analysis, CMA. And they can do that easily. Literally, it's something that Bill or I can do on the MLS. Anybody that has access to the MLS can do it. It's a tab that we can pull up that'll automatically run a CMA for that particular area. Now, the CMA, when you get it, it actually has each of the different properties printed out. It tells you how many bedrooms they were, how many bathrooms they were, how many square feet, and the address. So you can kind of get an idea what you're comparing as far as apples to apples, oranges to oranges, yep, or apples to oranges, or apples to figs. So it gives you an idea. So it gives you something to look at. So that being said, now that we know how to get to our ARV, our after repair value, now that's going to be the value that this property is worth when it's completed, that we can turn around and we can sell it to a retail buyer. That is our after repair value. So once we've established what that is, okay, we need to get something that is going to be a purchase, that is purchase and rehab for 80% of after repair value. Bill, give us an example of what we would need to see purchase and rehab for an 80% ARV on, say, let's use round numbers, $100,000 house, which
yep,
is hard to find in a lot of markets, but they do exist.
Yeah. One more thing on comps, and that is there's a few basic rules for a viable comp from an appraiser. One, the property that you are looking at and all the comps that it is, or the properties it's compared to, need to be within 20% of each other size-wise. So they can be 20% either way, front or back, and they need to be within 5 years either side of the year built date. You prefer it to be in the same subdivision, has to be within the last 6 months to be considered a valid comp. So those are just some very basics that an appraiser will use. So if we're out looking at buying a piece of property and we find a property, let's just say that we can buy it for 100. Then what I'm looking for is the after repaired value. I want to look at that at about 140 or so, maybe 130. But if I'm at 140, and on the after repaired value, I can start backing up to what my number is going to be. And let's just say that I've got $20,000 of rehab expenses that I project for this property. So the first thing I want to do, and I press to you wholeheartedly, sincerely, take your profit first before you take anything else. I'm not going to work for less than 20% of retail on the property. So if the property comes back and the agent says, hey, look, we can get 140 for this house. Well, pretty easy. 20% of that's 28 grand. If I'm now, so I write my numbers down, 140, the next is 20% off the top. So that's $28,000. Now I'm down to 112. I'm going to have to pay commission at 6%. So 6%, and you may get a break here and there, but you calculate this on 6%. So I'm going to take 6% on 140. So that's $8,400 if I'm not mistaken there. So I'm going to take $8,400 off of my 112, which is going to be 103.6. Now I got to look at I always use 2%. Some people use different numbers. I use 2%. On closing costs. Sometimes I'll use 2.5, and that's usually a fat number, but I'd rather have it a little cushiony than be a little short. So I use 2%. Now, remember, you're going to have closing costs both on your purchase and on your sale. On your commission, you're only going to have it on the sale side because it's the other side is absorbing that on the purchase side. So I'm going to have a 2% or 4%, 2% on the front end, 2% on the back end on my closing costs. So I go back to my 140, I'm actually going to do that on purchase. So we'll just call the purchase 100 because it makes the math simple. So there's another $4,000. Well, I was already at 103.6 and I'm taking $4,000 off of that. So now I'm at 99.4. Well, they may be asking $100,000 for it. I'm at 99.4, but what's the number that I'm missing? I have nothing in this equation yet to account for the prospective rehab. So I go look at, if I think it's going to be 20 grand, now I've got to take that 20 grand off of that number, and that knocks me down to 79.4. And that's the absolute top end that I can pay for this property and still have the ability to make an acceptable profit. And look, if you're one of those people that said, well, you know, it's a hot market, I'm gonna work for less. I promise you, it will bite you in the butt. I have done it. I did a house on Atlanta Court in Mansfield, Texas, and it turned out that I was doing a house in this subdivision anyway, and the house behind what I was flipping came up. The lady came out in the backyard one day when I was over checking on the house, and I just happened to be standing in the backyard looking back at the house, and she said, excuse me, introduced herself, said, I'm about to sell my house. Well, I ended up buying it right there that day. And I'm like, this is terrific. I'm getting so much traffic on this house. That house is going to be incredibly easy to sell. And because of that, I overpaid. I cut into my 20%. And what happened? I ended up doing an entire project and I made $7,000 on it. Now, $7,000, yes, that's better than a sharp stick in the eye. I will admit that. However, it's not 20%. It was a $200,000 property. And so you start looking at that and you're like, oh, wait a minute. I should have made 40 grand on this house and I made 7. I wasted a massive amount of time because I did not stick to the numbers correctly. So we're at break time.
We are at a break.
Back
When we get back, we're going to talk about how to finance that deal with zero money out of your pocket. We'll be back in just a second.
My name's Kevin Mills. I have a real estate training program that is so powerful, I will back it up with a double your money back guarantee that it will make you a millionaire. That's right. Double your money back guarantee that you will be a millionaire if you use what you learn in the Millionaire Blueprint. I call it the Guaranteed Millionaire Blueprint, and you can read more about it and watch more videos at guaranteedmillionaireblueprint.com. That's guaranteedmillionaireblueprint.com. Check it out. All the information is there. Once a month, with the exception of December, Bill and I go to markets where we have experience and we host a real estate buyer's event. These are markets that have great return potential for your real estate portfolio. We're going to show you the properties that we buy. We're going to show you where to buy, where not to buy, the strategies to use to make great income from these properties. We're also going to show you resources and individuals here on the ground that you can use to start building your team so that you can repeat this process over and over. The real estate buyers events are designed to put high-performing properties in your portfolio right away. If you're interested in hearing more about the Real Estate Buyers Event, realestatebuyersevent.com. That's realestatebuyersevent.com. Read more about the events, check out the schedule, and register. We'll see you there.
We are back. So all in on the example you gave us just before the break, what was your cost on that particular property we were just talking about? So we're talking about it was $140,000 is what the ARV was on this particular property. All in,
So
what your cost, including
the easiest way to look at this and remember this, I break all those numbers down to explain to our audience what's in it. On the quick math, what I do is I have two numbers that I'm looking at once I establish my ARV. So in this case, the ARV was 140. I'm going to take 31% off of that number right off the bat without blinking. That's my 20% profit first and foremost. That's 6% commission. And then in that scenario at 31%, that's a 2.5% closing cost on the purchase and on the sale. So that's 31% off of the after repaired value. Then I have to take my $20,000 of estimated rehab cost.
Okay.
So we're down to, we were at 79.4. So you're looking at
99.4 is what
about
it was.
60,000 and change.
So 99.4 was your total cost though.
99.4 before rehab.
Correct. So 80% of that 140
there you go. Sorry.
is 112. Okay. So to purchase this property, which you're going to have to, it's worth 99 to you. You're going to offer 79. Now there's gonna be a lot of numbers here. Don't get confused. Okay. Bill has $20,000 worth of work that needs to go into this property. Okay. He also has all those other costs that he just mentioned in his 31%. This property needs to be close to 79,000 for an asking price, or else these people are just they're not going to be interested in hearing what you're offering anyway. If these people are offering $120,000 and it's only worth 79,000 to you, don't even waste your time. Don't waste their time. Just keep on going. When they figure it out, they'll drop it and you can come back. Okay. So it needs to be somewhere in the mid 80s or to mid 70s in order for this to work for you. Okay. As far as making an offer. Now, the way we make this work for us is there are lenders, hard money lenders, that will lend 80% of your after repair value. That means on this property, okay, they're going to look at the after repair value of $140,000 and they're going to lend up to $112,000 on this property without any money out of your own pocket other than the points that they require. Okay. So no money out of your pocket. Points up front typically is what they do. Sometimes they'll do points on the end. You're going to get up to $112,000 for this property. Now, Bill, if I gave you $112,000 cash for this property, that's more money than you need to do this property.
Yeah. And a lot of times they will do it this way, Kip. Obviously, the purchase with all the closing costs goes directly to the title company. They're not going to hand that money over. Correct. So now you've got X number of dollars. Let's just call it, we got $30,000 left over, or we've got, which is probably about right on that 112 number. We got about 30 grand left over. Sometimes they will cut you a check for that. Sometimes they will retain that. And it purely depends on the lender. And I've worked with both. Where they said, okay, we're sending the entire amount to the title company for the close, which means they're sending the entire 112 to the title company. We're not closing at 112. We're closing significantly less than that. So the title company has closing docs and a check for you. Mm-hmm. And the check is that difference. Now you got to go rehab it for that, what you've gotten in that check. And certainly you can do that if you have done your budget correctly on the rehab. Sometimes they do it that way. Sometimes the lender will retain the rehab budget and ask you to do a drawdown on it, a construction drawdown, which means you go do part of the work. Typically they want anywhere no less than about a fourth of the work up to a third of the work done. And then you submit a request. Hey, I'd like to access $10,000 of the funds. Here's what we've done. They'll send an inspector by to take a look just to confirm you've done what you said you've done. And then they cut you a check or they send it directly to the contractors, whichever you prefer. And so it's a wonderful process. There's two crucial factors on it. Finding the correct lender that lends on ARV. Some lenders will only lend on purchase. Some lenders will lend on purchase or ARV, depending on which is less. So when they're doing that, it's always going to be on purchase. That's just a clever way for them to say it. So I'm looking for the lenders that are okay with lending on ARV. And then what have I got to have? Let me get pre-approved. What do I have to have on my end? Is it 1 point, 2 points, 3 points, 5, whatever it happens to be? And you look, once you start paying more than about 3, you need to be shopping. 3's high, 1 or 2, not a problem at all. And a lot of times, if you've got 2 or if you've got 3, they will split points for you where they say, okay, we're going to do 2 on the front, 1 on the back. Okay. I'm okay with that. Or if you got 2, they'll say, a lot of times they'll say, we'll do 1 and 1, 1 on the front, 1 on the back. So be sure to understand what they are lending on, and just ask them, hey, I'm a pretty simple guy. When I show up, how much money do I have to hand to you? And so they will tell you, and they'll go through and don't let them tell you, well, it's going to basically be 2 points and maybe a little here and there. No, I don't want that. I want you to give me a dollar amount that I need to bring to the closing. And I want you to send that to me in an email that says, Bill, when you show up at closing, we need you to have $4,682.37, because that's what I'm showing up with. And I'm not showing up with more, I'm showing up with that. Then depending on what is done from a standpoint of how they release the funds, you can either recoup that immediately, or you get it when you sell the property. That just purely depends on the release of funds.
11 months out of the year, Bill Barnett and myself do real estate buyers events in great cities like Orlando, Florida. We bring a group of investors to the cities where we have personal experience. We show them what we're buying, what not to buy, the strategies that we're using to get great returns on our real estate investment portfolios in these specific markets. These events are designed to put properties into your portfolio while you are here. To read more about the real estate buyers events, go to realestatebuyersevent.com. That's realestatebuyersevent.com. Our schedule is there. You're going to read more about the event, and you can even register. We'll see you at our next event.
A lot of real estate training programs claim that they will make you a millionaire, but how many of them will guarantee it? The Millionaire Blueprint comes with a millionaire guarantee. I guarantee that if you use the strategies and you use the formulas that you learn in the Millionaire Blueprint, you will be a millionaire. I guarantee that with a double your money back guarantee. Whether you have hundreds of thousands of dollars to invest or absolutely nothing, it doesn't matter. I'm going to show you how to start investing and be a millionaire guaranteed. Now, I can't tell you all about it in this short amount of time, so go to the guaranteedmillionaireblueprint.com. That's the guaranteedmillionaireblueprint.com. Watch the videos there. Read about the guarantee. Read more about what we offer with the Millionaire Blueprint. Get signed up. I'll see you in Palm Beach.
And keep in mind, if you're first starting out, if this is your first property, expect to pay about 3 points. That's just the price of doing business. So this is your first couple properties. Right now, you're going to pay about 3 points. The other thing that I see people get caught up in, and absolutely stay away from this. Let's get back to these numbers. Bill was able to purchase and rehab this property for $99,400. Okay. The lender is willing to pay up to 112 something with the 80% of ARV. Now, should Bill take that 112? Absolutely not. Bill should take about 100 and leave that 12 and change, because he's going to be paying higher interest on that 12 and change. And that is 12 and change plus the higher interest that he is going to have to pay back to the lender. He should give himself a little bit of a cushion. So he had 99.4. If he takes an even 100 from them and he's paying back that even 100 at his, say, 6%, which is what right now that you could expect to pay on a hard money loan. Okay. He's saving money by not having to take that 12 and put it back. Because I promise you, if he has 12 in his pocket, he's going to find something to spend it on. Okay. So
you know me well.
Yeah. Take anybody. If you have that 12 in your pocket, you're going to find something to spend it on. Don't even take that 12. Don't pay the 6% on it. Don't figure out how you're going to have to pay that back. When you consider $12,000 is roughly 10% of the $100,000 that you need to purchase this property and rehab this property, leave that 12 with the lender.
Because
You're also paying your 3 points on 100,000 versus 112,000.
what they will do, Kev, is they will look at that on your next deal and they'll go, oh, Bill has contingency money in there. He left that contingency with us. And what that makes them take a look at is they go, oh, this guy's a pro, understands the game, knows what he's doing. And that second property may not be any cheaper, but you start getting into properties 3, 4, and 5, and suddenly your numbers, all of your numbers start coming down.
Yes.
You end up having to pay smaller points, if any. Your interest rate comes down. And when you find a quality lender, and a quality lender is one that fits your parameters. For me, it's always an ARV lender. That's what I look for. Now, sometimes I can't get 80%. Sometimes it's 75. But I always want to stick, for me personally, with an ARV lender. Then we're going to start negotiating points and terms. But that ARV lender allows us to do the scenario that you and I just discussed. And so if I have to come out of pocket, now here's a fun thing. Let's say I got to come out of pocket with that number that I threw out, 48 or whatever. Maybe it's $6,000. A lot of different places. What if you're sitting there and you're going, Bill, I don't have $6,000. I don't have a credit card that I can do that with. I just don't have it. Can you go and borrow private money at a stupid rate, like credit card rates, like 18%, and get a small loan like that from some person that you know or meet? Absolutely.
For a month, because that's about how long it takes for you to close.
Well, it's going to be longer because you want to hold that till you don't want to pay them off until you sell the property. Could you even offer them not equity, but would they be able to be secured by the property? Yes. If you've got a 80 of ARV loan, then technically this person would have a second, not a third or a fourth. They would technically have a second. Now, sometimes your lender will split those notes out and they do a first and they do a second. It's kind of a weird deal. It's one of those things where a lot of times the lender will split it out because they're going to charge you one rate on the first. And they're going to charge you a little bit higher on the rehab money. And that's okay. Yeah. So in this case, that person would have a third, but you can actually give them a very high rate. It's a small amount of money, remember, and you're looking at it for the length of, I usually do them for 12 months and you have no penalty of any kind if you pay it off early, and you're going to, but I set it up for 12 months and they actually have a lien against the property. And then you can just negotiate if they want a monthly payment or not. And normally on an amount like that, the payment would be, even at 18%, would be so tiny that it's going, I just pay it at the end. So you don't have anything coming out of pocket. And that's literally a deal that you can do because you have knowledge. You do not have to have any of your personal money in it. And that ends up becoming a no money down deal. And look, hard money lenders do not typically care where you get the money from on points or down payment if they require down payment. Now, a mortgage company would absolutely flip out, freak out, have a stroke, go into conniption fit if they know you borrowed any money to get into the deal. But a hard money lender, that's not the case.
And Bill was mentioning that we said that expect 3% on your first couple of deals. And Bill was mentioning by the time you get to property 5 or 6, that's going to change. And there's different variables at play here. When you start getting into property 9, 10, 11, 12, that's going to change again. And not just your points, but your interest that you're paying as well. And that's because not just because you've done 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 properties with them, but they understand that now you're doing multiple properties at one time instead of just one property and then another property and then another property. And they will let you get loans on, say, 3 properties at a time or even 4 properties at a time. They will fund you in finance for that. So they have a comfort level, and that comfort level is reflected in how many loans they're going to give you simultaneously and reduce points and reduced rates, because the more money they have with you, the more money they're making back. And you are a good risk versus new people coming in who aren't as great a risk. That's why they risk less money with new people, and they have a higher risk factor that those individuals have to pay, which means their points and their interest. You are a better risk, which means you're going to pay lower points and lower interest, and you're going to have access to greater amounts of funds. So keep that in mind. That's a benchmark to set. Don't let your first couple properties frustrate you. Okay. You can still profit, and you can profit big, but you're going to profit even greater once you lay those tracks and once you put that history together with this particular lender. Anything to add before we get out of here there, Bill?
I'm good, brother. Thank you so much for being with us today. Share this with your friends. Make sure that you subscribe. Make sure you hit that like button with us wherever you're listening to us. If you're on iTunes or you're on Spotify, make sure that you give us that 5-star rating. We appreciate that. If you've got anything negative to say, send it to my ex-wife. She'll agree with you, and then don't put it on the rating. So,
all right. Thank you very much for joining us. Happy investing. Bill, I'll see you again in just a couple of days.
You got it. Thanks, everybody.